What's up, JHM? Welcome to Real Talk.
Well, we're your hosts, Joe and Montana. Not Joe Montana.
Anyways, we're stoked you're here as our studio audience today because we're starting a brand new series called Real Talk. And today, the real talk that we're going to be really talking about in a super real way is, drumroll please, relationships.
So we thought you start you off with the top 3 things that guys wish girls knew.
And the top 3 things girls wish guys knew about us. Am I right, ladies? All right, Joe, what do you have for us?
Well, there is no such thing as the perfect guy. You can't just assume that we're all gonna be like Channing Tatum or Ryan Gosling, whatever. I mean, we all have flaws, and so do they.
I don't think so.
But God has made each of us unique.
That's a good one. However, I do love Ryan Gosling and Channing Tatum. I would have to say the same for us girls too. There's no such thing as the perfect girl. Right. And Romans 3:23 says, "For everyone has sinned and we all fall short of God's glorious standard." We have to keep this in mind about each other. We can't hold each other up to this perfect standard because we all fall short. That's such a good reminder. Except for Channing Tatum. He doesn't fall short.
No. Apparently not.
All right, number 2.
That's my wife.
We are different than you. We look different, we talk different, we think different, and we see the world differently. We also smell different, thank God. Yeah. But the differences between us aren't a bad thing. Could you imagine how boring relationships would be if we were exactly the same? Girls tend to be more emotional sometimes, and our emotions and feelings guide our decisions and actions. We're complex, and we have a ton of awesome layers, too.
A lot of layers.
A lot.
A lot of layers.
A lot.
It's so true. And guess what, girls? Guys are different than you. Sometimes guys can be more physically driven, and we don't let our emotions show as much. I mean, Genesis 1:27 says, "So God created human beings in his own image. In the image of God, he created them. Male and female, he created them." And last but not least, girls, we want you to love God and like us.
Guys, we want you to also love God and like us.
I mean, we think it's cool when you love God more than us. Mark 12:30 says, "And you must love the Lord your God with all of your heart, with all of your soul, with all of your mind, and with all of your strength." It's so important in our relationships to not put everything on the other person and like hold them up on like a pedestal. They're not God, and only God is God, and he's the only one that we should fully lean into.
Man, such good things to remember when it comes to guys and girls and relationships. Well, honestly, you've probably heard enough from us now, so why don't we cut to a commercial break?
I just don't get it. Yesterday, he picked me twice in Dr. Goose. Today, when we're coloring, he won't even look at me. Maggie, you are a beautiful, strong-willed, independent girl. And if Johnny doesn't see that, it's his loss. And he told Jake Rafferty that I have cuties. Why would he say that I have cuties?
You can't read so much into that, Maggie. Michael said that I had cooties for like all of kindergarten, and now we're crazy happy. We're going on 3 weeks now.
I just want what you guys have. I want a Tommy in my life. Oh, no, you don't. I mean, sometimes, yeah, it's great. But with Tommy, it's like I give, and I give, and I give. And all he does is take.
And it's different. Isn't he a 2nd grader?
Yeah, he's more mature. I just feel like we're in the same place in our lives right now. I think I'm in the friend zone.
What makes you say that?
Well, yesterday at lunch he asked, "Do you want to be friends?" Oh, yeah. If he asks you if you want to be friends, you're in the friend zone.
You just gotta be direct. When Michael started acting all weird, I was like, listen, either we're a thing or we're not a thing.
It was the same way with Tommy. He's like, "I'm not ready for a relationship." And I'm like, "If not now, when? We're not getting any younger."
I hear you, girl.
I mean, he hits me so he doesn't like me, or he hits me because he does. I just don't get it.
How cute was that? Awesome. I mean, such giant problems for such little kids. Life can be so hard sometimes.
So now that we've learned a little bit about guys and girls, it's time to jump into how God sees us, because I believe it's so important to know that before we jump into any relationships.
It's true. Sometimes we look at ourselves and we think we're too fat, too skinny, too nerdy, unlovable, unworthy, ugly, awkward, unlikable, damaged. I mean, the list goes on, and each of those adjectives affect how we interact with each other, how we relate to each other, or how we see relationships. It can affect who you're attracted to, what you'll put up with, the types of friends you choose, and who you like. You know, the world tries to tell us that we need to keep up with the coolest TikToker or YouTuber, or be on this cool diet and work out consistently, or look like and act like all the people we watch on Netflix. Some of you are so focused on what you should be that you miss out on what is truly awesome about us. Our value comes from the inside and from the one who made us.
I mean, that's so true. I can really relate to that. So that's why we believe it's so important to remember how God sees us. So we're going to list off a few truths that God says about each and every one of us. And here we go. First, you are a one-of-a-kind work of art. Ephesians 2:30 says, "For we are God's masterpiece. He has created us anew in Christ Jesus so that we can do the good things that he planned for us long ago."
He says that you are part of his story. Jeremiah 1:5 says, "I knew you before I formed you in your mother's womb. Before you were born, I set you apart and appointed you as my prophet in the nations."
That is so good. God also says that you are precious, honored, and loved. Isaiah 43:4 says, "Others were given in exchange for you. I traded their lives for yours because you are precious to me. You are honored, and I love you."
He also says that you are valuable. Luke 12:6-8 says, "What is the price of 5 sparrows? 2 copper coins? Yet God does not forget a single one of them. And the very hairs on your head are all numbered. So don't be afraid. You're more valuable to God than a whole flock of sparrows."
He also says that you are priceless. 2 Corinthians 6:19-20 says, "Don't you realize that your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit, who lives in you and was given to you by God? You do not belong to yourself, for God bought you with a high price. So you must honor God with your body."
Wow, that's a lot of good
That's a lot of good stuff.
Did you catch all that?
I feel
hope
better
so,
about myself.
because there's going to be a quiz after this. Just kidding. But seriously, we tell you all this because it's true, and we really believe that every relationship we have should be impacted by how God sees us. So now that we know some things about each other and we know how God sees us, it's time for some more real talk. In order to have a really awesome relationship, you have to have some real steps.
All right, so for our next segment, we're calling this Dating 101.
Dating 101.
This segment of our show will give you a few steps to starting a relationship.
I need to find a girlfriend.
Well, it's easy.
It's easy?
You can put up a sign at your house that you're single. And what does that even mean? Because I'm not really You're single means you have no one. But single means that you have nobody to date with. Never dated in a long time.
We know. Mike is very single and alone.
How do I get one?
Okay, somebody has to be behind you, that's a boy. And you have to have another boy in front of you and ask the boy in front of you, "Do you want to be my boyfriend?" And they say no. Then you turn to the other person and then you act disappointed, and then you'll ask them and then they'll say yes. That's how I got mine.
Amen.
All right. For real though, let's kick it off with number 1. Connect with Jesus. We've talked about how guys and girls want you to love God and like them. So we have to start off with Jesus. I mean, we should always start off with Jesus. John 15:5 says, "Yes, I am the vine and you are the branches. Those who remain in me and I in them, they'll produce much fruit. For apart from me, you can do nothing." Jesus should be the foundation of every relationship you start. So that also means that both of you should love Jesus so that you can push each other to know and love him more and more every day. This is so important, hence why it's number 1.
Number 1. Well, number 2, protect my mind. Remember what God says about you and those around you? Don't let your mind get caught up on what you see in the movies or on social media and what dating should be according to the world. You have to protect your mind from things that aren't from God.
All right, number 3 is bring people in. I mean, life is so much better with people that you love and trust in it. You want people in your life that will help you, guide you, and be there for you. Make sure you lean into your trusted friends, your parents, your small group, and small group leaders. I don't know what I would do without my best friends in my life.
Number 4, create physical boundaries. You might think you're too young for this, but you're never too young to set boundaries. This is an important area to have boundaries. You'll want to have some rules for yourself, and here's some good ones we thought of. Number 1, don't be alone with your boyfriend or girlfriend in your house or a car, or especially a dark corner. The chances of something physical getting out of control are less likely if someone else is around. Am I right? Number 2, decide what your physical boundaries are before you start dating. And lastly, remember the physical relationship is not just about you. It's also about helping your boyfriend or girlfriend honor their commitment to Jesus.
And number 5 is choose who you date wisely. Think about your future person and figure out what qualities you want in someone. You want someone who wants the same things as you, who wants to honor your relationship with Jesus as much as you do. Who's awesome.
Last but not least, number 6, don't give up if I mess up. That doesn't mean you should just forget and move on. You definitely want to learn from your mistakes, but you also need to know that you are forgiven and that you can start over when you mess up. Just because you messed up doesn't mean you are messed up. Romans 6:14 says, sin is no longer your master, for you no longer live under the requirements of the law. Instead, you live under the freedom of God's grace.
So, that's it. That's all we got for you today on Real Talk, where you can get the real talk on the real things, dating and relationships.
Phew, I'm glad we got through that one. And as always, if you have more questions, we would love to help navigate those with you. We even hope that you would talk to your parents about this stuff. They may have some insights and experience and guidance on when is the best time for you to start a relationship.
They were their age once.
It's true.
Yeah.
I know you don't believe that, but it's true. We all need help when it comes to relationships. So we'll see you next week in JHM for some more Real Talk.